Aditya lived under the crushing weight of his father's labor in the fields and his mother's endless cycles of exhaustion. The sight of them struggling for a single meal every day gradually eroded his resolve, leaving behind a deep-seated resentment toward the life he was born into. This resentment grew into a single-minded obsession with wealth. Surrounded by the glittering promise of the city, he began to believe that money was the sole metric of human value, a conviction that blinded him to the dangers of looking for a way out through the dark. That desperation acted as a beacon. While venting his frustrations at a local tea stall, Aditya caught the attention of an Aghori, a wandering mystic who read the hunger in Aditya's eyes and sensed he was a man who had finally run out of patience. The mystic offered a bypass, the Yakshini sadhana. It was a ritual designed to summon an entity capable of granting immense, instantaneous wealth to anyone willing to perform the chant for 21 nights. An engineering student whose life is built on formulas and logic usually avoids miracles. But when the daily reality of poverty becomes unbearable, even a disciplined mind begins to calculate the value of a supernatural gamble, trading the laws of physics for the promise of a shortcut. The terms were rigid. Aditya had to maintain total focus and chant at exactly midnight for 21 consecutive nights. Any lapse in concentration or a single misstep in the ritual would lead to complete ruin. There was a hidden cost to the agreement. The Yakshini didn't want prayers or gold. She required his own life energy as the collateral for the transaction. His friend Rohit tried to intervene, arguing that if wealth could be summoned through a chant, the concept of labor would have vanished centuries ago. Aditya dismissed the warning, convinced that Rohit simply lacked the courage to seize a real opportunity. He isolated himself in his dorm room and drew a red circle on the floor. Sitting within the geometric boundary and surrounded by trembling flames, he began the chants, opening a door that he had no way of closing. A supernatural pact functions much like a predatory loan. The borrower is so fixated on the immediate payout that they overlook the lethal compounding interest that will be extracted later. On the 21st night, the air in the room turned ice cold. A sweet scent of expensive perfume masked the burning incense, and the Yakshini materialized from the shadows, standing exactly where he had called her. She spoke with a sweetness that hid a deep, echoing void. She would grant him the physical wealth he had dreamt of, provided she allowed her to visit him every night to take what she was owed. Aditya, seeing his escape within reach, gave his consent. In this trade, the balance is literal. To generate the golden wealth piling up on the left side of the scale, a specific measure of biological life force must be siphoned from the right. In this market, life energy is the only currency with enough value to move the needle. The wealth side of the scale hits its ceiling almost instantly, unlocking startup equity and international offers, while the microscopic dip in the glowing blue core remains so subtle it's easy for the borrower to ignore. Predatory systems are designed to flood the victim with massive initial rewards. This distraction ensures they don't notice the gradual and irreversible extraction of their most vital assets until it is too late to stop it. In the daylight, Aditya was a success story. He received a 50 crore scholarship, an offer to work in Dubai, and a partnership in a startup. He finally had the life he had promised his parents. But at midnight, the debt collector appeared. The Yakshini would pin him to his bed, paralyzing his limbs while she leaned over him to draw her payment directly from his chest. These nightly installments began to hollow him out. His skin turned a sallow yellow, his eyes sank into dark pits, and a profound, unexplainable weakness began to rot his physical strength. He realized he was trapped in a paradox. The more wealth he accumulated, the less physical capacity he had to use it. He was a millionaire who could barely find the strength to stand. Collecting endless physical resources serves no purpose if the currency used to purchase them is your own biological existence. Eventually, the final night arrived. When the Yakshini appeared this time, her demeanor had shifted from seductive to triumphant. The contract had reached its limit, and there was no more time for installments. She leaned in and whispered that his account was empty. Tonight wouldn't be a partial withdrawal, it would be a total foreclosure. She pressed her weight against him one last time. As she drew the final breath from his lungs, the lights in the room snapped out, leaving his body cold and still on the bed. The next morning, Rohit discovered his friend's lifeless body. Aditya was surrounded by luxury, the expensive watches, the high-end electronics, and the bank statements, all of which were now entirely useless to a man who had spent his life to buy them. There is no such thing as an overnight shortcut. Any system promising rewards without effort will eventually come to collect a price that the borrower can never truly afford to pay.